Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. And as per usual, please stay till the end of the video where I will share with you my pricing for these cookies. Now, fun fact, as I was creating this video, I was actually teaching a cookie class at the same time. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that I actually teach full time and it has nothing to do with my whole baking hobby. And I also have 2 kids, so I do get a little busy, and that means that I tend to have to multitask, which is exactly why I'm filming this at the same time as actually teaching a little cookie class. So for all of the cookies right now, I'm using a pipe and flood consistency. You'll notice that with my cupcake liner ones, I actually did sections of the cupcake first because I need to let that dry. And I do let that dehydrate in my oven at 175 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to know a little bit more about that, go ahead and check out that video in the right-hand corner. Once it's dried, I will fill it in just like you're seeing here. You'll know that your icing is dry enough when it becomes an opaque color and is no longer shiny. Then you can go back in and fill it in. Now we're going to add in all of that icing on our cupcake, and really, again, just pipe and flood consistency. If you want to sprinkle your cookies, the best time to do that is not right after you've actually filled everything in, but maybe just a minute after. I find if you fill it in right away with sprinkles after you've piped and flooded it, then sometimes it can overflow. It really depends on your icing consistency. I've really been trying to utilize my cookie cutters for different shapes because honestly, I have so many cookie cutters, if you guys have ever seen my collection, that I really don't feel like investing in a lot of cookie cutters every time I want to do something differently. So for the pile of macarons and these little whisk cookies, I'm using a cloud cutter, and I'm also using a baby rattle here. Now, I really could have utilized that one even a little bit better, but I got lazy at the end, so I ended up leaving it. So for this balloon whisk, I honestly could have added in a little bow right at the top of the whisk. That way it really would look like that cookie cutter was made for a balloon whisk with a bow. But like I said, ran out of time, but it was all good. I really love the way this turned out. Now, if you're a beginning cookie decorator, this type of thing can be a little bit tricky and a little bit intimidating looking because it really is hard to cover up the mistakes of that whisk at the top. But just make sure that the under layer of your cookie is very, very dry so that you can scrape. I'm not saying that scraping all the time is going to be able to get rid of all of that color from seeping in and making a mess, but you will have a better chance at scraping most of it off. So I'm making the little base of the cake, and then later on I'm going to add in a sprinkle tier as well, and my cookie student was very, very excited to add in that sprinkle layer. Now for these macarons here, I'm going in with a little bit of white filling, but knowing what I know now and how this ends up looking, I think I would have gone for a different colored filling just so that it pops out a little bit more. This is why I end up adding on the sprinkles to some of the inside of this filling just so it gives it a little bit more of a differentiation between the filling and the background of the cookie. Now what I did was I let some of that pipe and flood consistency just firm up slightly. I think I might have even popped these into the oven for like 1 minute just to get it a little bit opaque. And then I'm going in with my cookie scribe and I'm kind of making a texture in there so that it looks like the feet of a macaron. If you're finding you're not getting enough of a texture, this could just be because your icing isn't thick enough, or maybe your icing just isn't dry enough. Literally what you're doing is you're kind of wrecking your frosting. So if you've ever messed up and you've bumped your royal icing sugar cookies and it's created a dent, essentially that is what you want to do. You want to create that kind of messy look. Now we get to sprinkle all of these cookies, and also what I love about sprinkling is if you mess up the shape and you don't like it, again, you can take any tool that you want to kind of create that and make it into the shape that you want it to. For example, some of those tiers weren't perfect after they were sprinkled, so we did take a little tool to make sure that it was nice and squared off. Now it's time for a little bit of airbrushing here. We're going to create the pans for our cookies. I wanted to keep these really, really simple, so I just made rectangular cookies in white, and then I went ahead and airbrushed it. If you're not too familiar with using an airbrush, I have a full video on airbrushing 101 type stuff, so definitely go and check that out. And I must admit, I don't do the airbrushing super well in this video because it was getting clogged, so I ended up going really, really light with my airbrushing. Especially here, you can kind of see it coming out in spurts, which is definitely not what I wanted. Airbrushing can definitely be a little bit finicky, but when it works well, it works really, really well. But when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. You can kind of make it look the same way though with petal dusts if you prefer that instead. This color for the chocolate chip cookies was actually a little bit challenging for me to create. I feel like the brown that I have is a little bit too pinkish, so I added a little bit of yellow in there as well, just to get it this nice color. I am using a pipe and flood consistency, and it is a little bit more difficult to control these circles when you're using that consistency, but I didn't need my cookies to be super, super perfect. You can also make icing transfers first and then place it onto your cookie if you prefer that method instead. To create the little chocolate chips, I'm just using a little bit of edible airbrush. I will often do this if I don't want to mix up vodka with my colorant. And more, I'm finding that when I need such a small surface colored, I really don't need to add in that vodka. I made these cookies as a gift for a retirement to a fellow colleague. Congratulations. She is the sweetest woman and she absolutely loves baking, which works out really, really well for me. And I got to be really creative with these cookies, which is my favorite thing. So the pricing for these cookies are very straightforward. This would be a custom order only. They would never be a stock order. Way too much work for these. They would be $4 to $5.50 Canadian each, and there would be a dollar minimum implemented, whatever that may be at your bakery. Now let's get into the subscriber submission of the video. I could not resist featuring these adorable cupcakes, and I love those meringues. It is really putting me in an Easter mood and inspiring me, so definitely go and check them out on Instagram. If you want to be the next subscriber submission of the video, then please follow me at SD Bake Shop on Instagram, where you can either tag me in a photo or send me a photo. Any and all dessert levels are welcome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!